How are you ladies doing today?
Great, great.
Good. I think a few people are going to get drinks, but we can definitely start.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do the same icebreaker that I did with everyone else.
Okay.
Introduce yourself and then the first Afrobeat song you heard.
I heard, yeah.
Yeah. Or you loved. Let's say you loved.
My name's Abby Babalola. I'm the founder of a touring company called Hera Touring. And the first Afrobeat song that I loved, we're going to go back to probably 1998, 99, D'banj, Mobolowo. That's the one.
And the shopper is here.
Yeah, yeah.
I think mine would be African Queen by Two-Face.
Yeah.
That defined a lot of my, I guess, childhood. Really, really love it.
Those are good ones. Hi, my name is Linda Yola. I'm the global head of music at Platoon. My song, I was trying to think of that when you asked earlier, actually.
Gave you some time.
I think it's between two. I really liked Yahuze by Olu Mantane in the club. It was so good. And the other one that came to mind was, Danfo Driver. I'm a Danfo driver. Oh, they really a Danfo driver. It's good.
We were all in the clubs back then.
Yeah, all there. Yeah, so those are the two.
Lovely. Thank you guys for joining us today, firstly. Hey, Abby, I'm going to start with you. You work in touring. How is that for you being in African space? There's been so many artists, especially in the UK, touring the O2. I remember seeing Remo a couple of months ago. How's it been in that space for you?
For me, I mean, I've started in this industry for, I think we're going on to 15, probably 20 years now. I started way back with JJC and 419 Squad and D'banj and Don Jazzy when he was still in the studio in London, before there was any kind of thing called Afro beats. At that time, we were Afrobeat, and there was no word called Afrobeat. It was after 2011 when we did a concert in HMV Apollo that the word Afrobeats became alive, and this is where we put a young artist called Wizkid and legends, P Square on the same stage, and that's after that we had this global explosion. So what we saw then was that London became the springboard for all Afrobeat artists to launch their touring and their international careers. Since then, we've seen, artists such as, sorry, D'banj is in my head for some reason because such as Burna, who's now sold out, 60,000 stadium a couple of times, which I had the pleasure of working on. And, we're seeing Asha Care, we're seeing Wizkid, and, all the notables have done these major arenas, but they didn't start at these arenas. There was a time when we couldn't get a venue. We were all in the clubs, and that was as big as it went. So this Afrobeats explosion, this global expansion has done amazing things for the touring space when it comes to Afrobeats and the global landscape of Afrobeats culturally and across the world, really. So London, and there's also the cultural part. We have to remember a lot of the Nigerians, specifically when we're talking about Afrobeats, in London or in the UK, they're first or second generation. So their parents came to the UK in the 70s and 80s and gave birth to my generation. So we're still very, very connected through our language, through our food, through our dress. We still are so connected to our cultures, and this is why you're seeing that London is a place that everybody needs to come to kind of launch their touring careers globally. Yeah.
Do you feel like London's being really specific in terms of growing Afrobeats live space?
At the moment, it's almost a case of if you don't make it in London, you're going to struggle everywhere else. Because, anything that happens, yes, Nigeria is the starting point, but the music, it travels. And, again, because we're so rooted in our culture in the UK, it makes a big difference, it's without London, I think we'll have a vacuum, and it'll be very difficult because we have to think about the landscape of America is so vast. So, you can't, it's very difficult for artists to break or crack America, and UK being such a small island and the gateway to Europe, as it were, musically, this is why UK is so important in that space.
I think it's changed over the last 10 years.
Completely.
Before it was like you have to break the US for you to be a global
Yeah, no,
star.
now you have to break London.
Yeah, if London love you, then you love you
Yeah.
everywhere. Rima, you at Maven Records, right? Ira, Rema, all of those guys coming through. How do you spot a global superstar?
Wow.
Because
So-
you guys had many.
That's a tough question. By the way, my name is Rima Tahini. I'm Senior Vice President of A&R and Creatives at Maven Records. And I look after the roster at Maven. So yeah, I work very closely with Ira and Rema. I'm their A&R. How do I spot a global superstar? Honestly, I don't know the answer to that question because all I can do is spot an amazing artist, an amazing talent, and a hardworking artist. Someone who wants it more than me, someone who wants it more than the label, someone who's ambitious and is a sponge. You know, so those are the qualities you look for. We at Maven, we sign artists from scratch. No prior data. Not many people do that anymore. Just raw talent. They come on. Sometimes Don Jazzy even gives them their name. Most of the time, you know, they come as Inkosola, and then you name them, you brand them, you really get to know them, their authentic self, who they are, how they want to be positioned, the stories they want to tell, and you start crafting that narrative and that path and that journey. So yeah, I guess it's really along the way you discover if they're going to be a global superstar or not. But I think from the onset, Linda and I were talking about how do you cut out the nonsense, you know, how do you spot who really wants it. So those are the qualities I would say, to be honest.
Definitely. And I love how you mentioned about artist development. How important is artist development, especially as an A&R?
Oh my gosh, so important. I feel like we don't have time anymore. We're so rushed. We're so rushed. Ronami said it all, to be honest. There's just so much. The data is saying this, and the data is important, don't get me wrong. And I think that artists had time before to really sit and build with their A&Rs and their teams and their labels. These days is tough because they want the quick breaks. Artists are not patient anymore. Most labels are not patient either. And to be fair, like, it's a business, so I understand. But at the same time, you skip so many steps, you get that one global hit, and then again, I think Vanessa said it, I guess this is a thing of coming last. Yeah. Really and truly, I think I just echoing everyone else, there's no time. You're in a rush, there's a viral song, you have to catch up. And there's nothing worse than having a big song that's bigger than your artist. And you can't catch up. The artist wasn't prepared. There's no community. They can't sell merch. They can't sell tickets. You don't have any. You skip steps, and you can't skip steps. No matter what, the viral hits won't give you longevity. You're not going to be here for long, because then it's gone, and then how do you do it after? So, and then artists reversing back to go do the work that they need to do after that moment is tough, right? So we definitely need artist development. You still need your trainings. You still need to really think about how to make big songs. I'm not saying global songs, big songs, because big songs are songs that have a purpose, right? That you go into the studio, you're intentional about making big songs, big records that can cut across when they cut across, right? But that's your best foot forward. I just wish more labels would remember that is the way to build superstars, and not through like the
TikTok.
Yeah, the viral moments.
No, definitely. And I think that over the last couple of years, it's always like, we'd have artist development and you have people just sign in and it's like they need to have the biggest hit and then they kind of disappear. So like artist development and everything that you guys are doing at Maven is amazing. Linda, I'm going to come to you. You've obviously helped develop the infrastructure in Africa for talent globally. What do you think are the key elements to help African artists sustain their success?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And one of the downsides of coming last is that there were some such good answers. But I think where I would add value to this question is that, Rima said something earlier, is that, you've got a hit. And that isn't sustainable, right? There's a difference between breaking through and sustaining success. Right? And so I think the latter, and to answer your question, when we're talking about sustaining success, it's all about infrastructure. So infrastructure for me, I think we can break it down maybe to 3 key things. I think one of the things is obviously understanding the data, right? The data is the compass, but it's not the driver, right? The data will never tell you why. You can see things which are trending, but if you understand the data, it takes you one step forward. The other thing for me is also having the artists and their teams understand the business, so the contracts, the publishing, everything like that. And then I would say, finally, and this is probably the most important part, is giving the artists the space to create, right? To really find their voice. An artist can come out with a song, but it may not be their sound. And I think it takes time to find the sound, and that infrastructure will allow all those three key things will allow the artist to really sustain that success. Sorry.
That was a great, great answer. I'll come back to you, Abby. We'll talk about translating Afrobeat to the stage. We have seen so many artists bring the authenticity from the culture to the stage. How important is that to you, and how do you help keep that authentic, especially with labels and other people being involved with the actual vision of that tour or that stage?
I mean, the label doesn't really get involved, if I'm honest. For me, I tend to wear multiple hats when touring with Afrobeat artists. It's not the normal structure where, you know, as the promoter or they come with everything prepared. A lot of them don't necessarily have a direction, or they just want to tour, you know, they want everything amazing. Now, what I've seen over time is, you know, they do want to bring their culture and the vision from their albums to the stage. So what I tend to do is lock myself away and immerse myself in their album. And I speak to the artist and ask, okay, when you made this particular song, you said this line, what were you thinking? What was your thought process? What inspired you? So I get these sort of key words. They just talk, and as they're talking, I kind of make quick notes, and from that, I come up with some type of creative idea. And that's with artists that don't necessarily know what they want until you give them an idea, and then we now see this world being created on the stage. Working with, you know, Burna's team, Ronami would come up with the most amazing concept, and she's, like she said, she's very particular and she knows what her end goal is. So when you're working with somebody like that, it's amazing, you know. But generally speaking, it's very important for the artist's language or what they were thinking when they were creating this particular album that they're touring. It's very important for it to be represented on the stage, because it's not, I feel like they have a certain responsibility. For them, they don't have the luxury of just popping up with a DJ and just keeping it pushing, you know. They have to almost go one step further. And I find that especially in London, because again, that is the springboard from, they can go quite elaborate in London and then maybe tone it down slightly in other cities. Because whatever they do on the stage, it translates into their record sales. It translates to how people and maybe other the global ecosystem of the music industry, how they perceive them, how they receive them as well. So what they do on the stage is very, very, very important. And as the production manager, one hat, second hat promoter, third hat, everything, you have a responsibility to bring all that, you know, energy to the stage, you know, in the best possible way. And ultimately, they want to make sure that they're connected with their audience. They want to feel comfortable on the stage. So, you know, what they deliver on the stage is very, very crucial, especially that London stage. It's a big thing, yeah.
How do you handle having so many hats on? You mentioned like producer. How do you handle that, especially in this space that's very male dominated?
I think we have to realize the superpower that a woman has. Just generally speaking, we wear multiple hats naturally. We're mothers, we're wives, we are somebody's daughter that we have to, you know, we have responsibilities. So I think when you're wearing multiple hats or doing multiple, even when you have a one job, you tend to go further. I think as women, we find that we have to go further in everything that we do, because we face different types of challenges in different forms. So how do I do it? One day at a time, one foot in front of the other. Like Ronami says, if something, I don't lose sleep on things that just don't matter. I would, you know, I'm very laser focused on what I want to do. So I just try and focus on what's important, what's gonna lead on to the next thing or what's going to push the needle. So yeah, I try to compartmentalize as much as possible. Yeah, there's no sleep, but yes, we try to do that. Yeah. There's no sleep.
Rima, question for you. What challenges do you face being a female A&R?
For starts, every time I speak to an A&R outside of Nigeria on WhatsApp, they call me bro. Yes, you. Until we got on, we get on a phone call, and they're like, oh, I can see them like walking back. So it's always like an assumption that I'm a guy. It's fine actually, but to be honest, I think I have been blessed so far. I don't want to downplay people's struggles. I do believe that there are double standards in the music industry, just like there are in most industries, especially for female talents. For me, I've worked with amazing people who I've learned from, right? Jazzy is such an amazing leader. I couldn't have asked for better, to be honest. He's been very supportive. That's how I came into the industry. I don't have any other experience. I've not worked in the music industry or a music company before Mavin. And I've been at Mavin now, with Mavin for 9 years. So, and Tega is amazing. A lot of things I know I've learned from them. So I think that within the workspace, I'm blessed in that way. But for sure, outside, like on set, I have to, almost feel like I need to tiptoe to like, I don't know where maybe people assume that you need to appear a certain way as like the person in charge. They maybe see you and they want to dismiss you immediately because you're not like, or want to greet the male colleague behind you or look over you or something. So it's a lot. But one major I would say recent development is I recently had a baby. So thank you. Well, it's not as recent as, it still sounds like I'm still, yeah, but definitely that I think has added a new layer of like a challenge for me, because really and truly balancing that and being in the manic industry like this and being, on top of things constantly. I've had Zoom calls at 4 a.m. literally, and so those are the challenges for me. I don't think it's about like another guy being, oppressive or anything like that. It's just really navigating, just being a woman by the virtue of being a woman and having, like she said, I don't want the superpowers, by the way. I need to relegate them. But yeah, to be honest, I think that's the challenges I face, and I'm still trying to navigate this new phase. But yeah.
It's a new challenge every day. Linda, we haven't really spoken about mentors or allies, especially being a female in this industry. How important do you think they are?
Super important. I love allies. And allies obviously can come from any walk, any background. I think it's always difficult to determine who's an ally. I think people say a lot, but if they're not speaking your names in rooms that you're not in, that's not real allyship for me. So, just being honest, I'm being completely honest. So, and I think it goes both ways. I think if you're in those rooms, like, are you speaking other people's names and not just yourself as well? Like, you have to keep that door open, especially when it comes to Afrobeats or even Africa as a whole. I think we're put in these positions as quote unquote gatekeepers, which I fucking hate that term. Like, I'm sorry, I really do. Because ultimately, we have the careers of people in our hands, and it's not just their careers, it's their life. And so when people don't understand their privilege in that, and it's almost like a godlike thing, I think that's a terrible, terrible thing. And for me personally, like, I like to remind myself, because I'm similar to Rima in that Platoon was my first job in the music industry. And when I mean my first job, like, I was part of the founding team. We realized that there was something missing in the industry, and we created Platoon. I was number 5 employee, the 5th employee, and back then, we didn't have an Africa division. I had to create that myself. And when we talk about allyship, the boss, Sir Denzel, who started Platoon, I was like, we should create Platoon Africa. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll support you. That's real allyship. He gave me the money to do it. He sent me wherever I needed to go to do it. And so like he really put his money where his mouth is, and not genuinely. And I feel like you need more and more people like that who have the access to do that. And it's not everyone's responsibility at all. But what I would say is that when you are in a position where these opportunities exist for you, definitely walk through it and then leave the door open for the next person.
Abby, I'm going to come back to you. Firstly, it's incredible because of who you are as a person, because there's not enough female people in touring. How do we as an industry support you, especially in the Afrobeat space? What do you
support me personally?
Well, you, but also how do I support you? But just
Buy
touring in
tickets.
general, yeah. But touring in general, there's not enough females that know about touring. If I'm being honest, especially talking to other peers in the industry, it's never a job that I want to be a tour manager. What are we doing, and how are we not allowing the next generation to come through and be like, actually, I want to do touring? It's always artist manager, or I want to work at a label.
Yeah.
What are we missing?
What are we missing? I think it's just representation. Yeah. So when I'm working, I do try to remember that there is going to be somebody, another female, another young person, who will potentially be looking at me. So I try to carry myself in the best possible way. There's a lot of challenges in touring. We have to remember that we're in a space, an Afrobeat space, where there's still some prejudice. There's some venues that don't necessarily want to open their doors, or they automatically think, it's an Afrobeat show, it's going to be like, there's going to be gangbangs, or this. They have so many negative thoughts when it comes to an Afrobeat show. So I have to sit in rooms and have these discussions with these venue managers and then the police and all sorts of different people, and they speak sometimes in a derogatory way, or they speak laced with prejudice. And I always tell myself, Abby, rise above, And I say that to my teams as well, because people can get quite emotional when dealing with things like that. And I always say, rise above. And I rise above not because I can't, lash out, or I can't sort of stand my ground. I can, but you have to do it in a constructive way, because you want that door to continue to be open. I want to prove to all the different sections that your thought pattern is wrong. And the only way I can do that is to rise above and to, remember that others are going to come behind me. And I want that opportunity for them to remain open. I want them to see that when another Abby pops up and wants to do an Afrobeat show in, I don't know however long, they want to remember that, but when Abby did it, it was okay. So that's the example that I want to set. Now, young people do come to me all the time, or sometimes I source out young, especially female. When I find a female lighting director or a female sound engineer, I get so excited, because there isn't enough. I think we need to also go into schools, because touring is not even a subject. It's just not discussed. When you think about the music industry, yes, they'll probably talk about A&R now, and they'll talk about artist management, but no one thinks about the touring industry. And I think maybe the educational institutions can start, maybe that could be something that could be a subject, or at least discussed, maybe in marketing or media or something, but there needs to be more representation. And without that, the only way I can contribute to this is just being the best version of myself, representing the industry as well as possible, and just doing an amazing job, making sure that the audience has an amazing time. Ultimately, that's why we're all doing it. And then when they finally discover that it was a female behind it, they can think, wow, okay, I can do that too. So it's just about being a good example, really. That's the only thing I can contribute to this.
Not that. Reem, a question for you. What skills do you think you need to be an A&R in this day and age?
So first of all, you have to be a people person. You have to have empathy. Oh my God. In fact, Jazzy always makes fun that he gave me this role because of my empathy. And sometimes I think it's a trap. But really and truly, if you work, people are people in the end. I always say this. People are people. I think Ronami said this as well. You have to connect on a human level. You have to believe in their dreams. If you're not that, if you just want to be a numbers person, you want to sit behind a desk, you want to get salary in a month, like you have to have the appetite for people, the tolerance for people, for differences as well, because you're going to disagree a lot, you're going to have difference of opinions, like Ronami mentioned as well. You're going to fight. Sometimes it's going to feel like you're not appreciated, because you have to do reverse psychology to make them think what you want them to think in the end. So you have to have that finesse as a person. Lots of patience, lots of empathy again. You have to be a people person. And to be honest, I think also being perceptive, right? You also have to be a visionary to see, okay, this is where this person is from. This is the context that they're coming from. These are the things that make them tick. What is success to this person? Like, one thing I ask an artist when they come into the office for the first time to have a meeting is, what do you define as success? Because like your question earlier to Ronami about global success and being a Burna Boy, you'll be shocked that some artists just want to buy their mothers a house, and that's it. And if that's your dream, maybe that's not a fit for us, because we're dreaming bigger, we want more. So again, you really have to be able to I love a good makeover. Like so I see A&R as being like a makeover. Like, come, let's like transform, So if you want to work on people, you want to build people, then that's for you.
Love that. Lynn, I want to come and talk to you about streaming platforms. How do you see streaming platforms influencing stories and keeping them authentic, especially in the space of Africa? Obviously, numbers are going, and okay, we want to work with this artist. How do you ensure, being at Platoon, those stories are still authentic?
Yeah, that's a hard question, and I'm going to be careful with my answer here. I have, so one of the perks and downsides of working at a company like Platoon, and I say this cautiously, we're owned by Apple. So we sold to Apple in 2018, and so I have to be careful in how I tread this question, and Anastasia, who is here from Apple, is here to make sure I'm on par here. So, but what I would say to this question, so that it's authentically my own opinion, is that streaming amplifies a lot of different genres, and I think streaming has done really, really well for Afrobeats in particular, right? It's made that genre of music reach a global audience. I think that's a massive, massive pro. In my personal and humble opinion, which Apple may not like, I feel like streaming has almost, because there's certain playlists which are on different platforms, different DSPs, it's almost forced artists into a box whereby they feel that they need to create certain types of songs to be in these playlists. So therefore, the uniqueness of what they're creating is almost flattened. And that scares me, in that a lot of the stuff is driven by algorithms. And I think the more that algorithms and AI play a place in streaming, it scares me to see the output. I think we need more human curation, like people actually choosing what sounds good to their ear, and a diverse range of people, not just people who have done it for such a long time and they're probably bored of doing it. I think they need, young people, old people, white people, black people, whoever, like different people. And I think more specifically, they need women. I think when women sit at the table, they bring innovation, they bring uniqueness, they bring a different eye, because we've had to wear multiple hats. We are mothers, we are daughters, we are all these things. And honestly, anyone who's a woman, which a lot of people are here, is that we're always thinking, something is always there. Like, I could be sitting on this panel at the moment, but genuinely, maybe on this side of my brain, I'm thinking, okay, my son's got swimming tomorrow morning and I need to be there at 9:30. How am I gonna make it at 9:30? And it doesn't mean that I'm not present. It just means that I have to wear multiple hats. So I just think increasing the diversity of people who do the human creation on the streaming will really help going forwards.
I've got 2 more questions for you guys. The first question is, how do we keep Afro beats authentic and protect it?
Protected. Wow. I don't know if we can protect it.
So how do we keep it authentic?
It depends what authentic means to the artist. You know, it's such a broad spectrum, Afrobeats. Remember, it's a combination of different sounds that's come together. So, you know, if you're hearing an artist doing an album that's got pure Fuji vibes, that's still Afro. It's still under the umbrella of Afrobeats, but that is authentic to them. Their Yoruba culture specifically may not translate to the Hausa culture, but that is still Afrobeats. It's a very, very difficult question because, you know, even under the Afrobeats umbrella, there's just too many branches. So what is authentic to somebody who loves Fuji is different to somebody who maybe could be from the north, and they're giving more northern vibes. I don't know if there's a word for the northern Nigeria, is there? There isn't I don't think there is. No, there isn't. I know there isn't. So exactly, there we go. There isn't a word for it, you know, and this is a whole region of Nigeria that any music that comes from this region is still going to fall under the umbrella of Afrobeats. Now, are we going to say when we hear this northern vibe, it's not Afrobeats? No, it is, because it's still, you know, authentic to the artist that's created it. So I think we have to have some patience and have a bigger heart when it comes to Afrobeat and just absorbing everything that comes from this particular region. And not, again, this word boxing is so appropriate. We cannot put it in a box. You know, there's this whole hoo-ha about whether Tyler's Afrobeats, and, you know, it's just ridiculous to me, really. You know, I wish maybe we can coin another word to cover music from Africa. I don't know. It doesn't really even matter. World music. It can't even be world music anymore, because it's you know, it's getting ridiculous now. And I think this word, you know, where we have to be authentic to Africa, I think each artist needs to be authentic to themselves, and, you know, get their message or what they want to bring out, and just do it to the best of their ability. And it's up to us as the audience to accept it or not, according to what you relate to. So again, we can't box it, we can't gatekeep, we have to just let it go. It's a bird, let it fly. Yeah.
To be honest, I think you just took the words right out of my mouth. It really just depends, right, on who the artist is, their story, where they're from. We have an artist that is very R&B, for example, right? You just want to add Afro R&B there because of the storytelling, that he's probably singing things about being from a certain area in Lagos, or, you know, growing up, or Unilag, or what. So maybe those are the things that you would classify as, you know, the Afro in it, in a way. Or maybe I would say the production. But to be honest, like, I think these days, when people say, how do you keep it authentic, we're probably either saying the genre, the part of Afrobeat that went, or the part of our music that's gone global, is what the West identifies as Afrobeat. So then you have some artists that are stuck trying to, like, double down on that. Because again, like, we're chasing the numbers, you know, and you're trying to get the streaming. And I can't fault anyone for that, to be honest. Like, it's a tough life out here. And then you, on the other side, people thinking, oh, is the era of the Wizkids, and the era of Wizkid probably up until like 2014 is that era. But the truth is that the genre has constantly morphed and shape-shifted into so many different things over the years, right? Two-Face was different from what we're hearing now. D'banj and Don Jazzy had a whole phase of like a very, you know, when I listen to songs they did, I'm like, this is Alter. Like, even though, I'm like, wait, you guys were like the mainstream, but this sounds Alter to me, like now, right? So again, I definitely do think that we need to broaden the horizon. My husband is an artist, and he's a folksy country Afro singer from Benin City. Like, it's really, sometimes it's tough, because then you want to put everybody in a mold. As an A&R trying to develop artists, like one of my A&Rs used to say, you can't buy a sheep and expect it to be a goat. You want to make the sheep the best sheep ever. right? Rather than wanting to, when you sign an artist, this is their sound. If you know that this is not the business that you're in, you're not good at selling jazz music, or you're not good at selling, maybe leave them to do their thing, right, as a label, and don't try and now say, come, let's make you into this other thing, except that's what they want, right? Obviously, there's always a leading sound in every market at any point. We know what American pop music sounds like right now, and then, in a minute, it might change again. So right now, we know what Afro pop sounds like, right? When Rema came out, he had Indian...
Everything.
That was authentic to him. That was Afrobeat. Iron Man is Afrobeat. But it's loved in India. I thought it was an Indian. I was like, did you grow up watching Bollywood? He's like, no. So again, really and truly, let's allow growth. Let's allow for uniqueness. Let's allow for the genre to grow. I do not like when award shows have one award category for Afrobeat. Yeah. It's very reductionist. In so many, many ways. So many things lost in between. And we're not going to grow as an industry if that's how we see things. And again, to be fair, they are not our awards. So hey, we can't be entitled. Maybe we build ours, So let's build our infrastructure. Let's help our artists and our industry expand. Really, that should be the focus.
Yeah. Amazing.
I have zero to add. Zero. I completely agree. I think the only thing I would add is that the people who do tell our stories should understand our culture. And we shouldn't just give it to anyone and everyone. Because I think to understand how the music is made is to live some of the pieces of what people have experienced on the continent. And it's very hard for other people to tell that story if they have no insight into that.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much. I was going to ask another question, but this was a perfect way to end it. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, Ronnie. Do you want to go on the mic? Okay. I can hear you.
I feel like what do you feel like is the next step solution to the problems? Like to this point, people are stuck somewhere because they want to be on Afropop playlist and they know that's the playlist that gets the most whatever. Rima as the makeover queen. He doesn't see very people's voices like mine every day. But what is the next step? What do we feel like is the way to say in 10 years? That are on this platform now, when we're, probably retired somewhere, what do we want them to feel like they're coming in with? What's the next step for you guys? How are you gonna leave here today and do something different tomorrow?
I will say, this is the first time I've ever spoken about what I do. First time ever. This is my first time. And I've always focused on toiling away in the background. I've always taken my joy in what I deliver. And that's always been good enough for me, But I feel like if I was to profile myself more and let the world know more about what I do particularly, that could inspire the next generation. Just getting the job done, I don't think is in this day and age is no longer enough. I think people need to see and hear and know that you can do this, and the only way that I can let them know that or contribute my little portion for the next generation is to show them. So I think I need to do better in that sense and speak up a lot more, profile myself a bit better, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I probably have to hire somebody. Vanessa, I need to do better. Yeah. And yeah, actually, for real. And I think that's the only way I can help the next generation. So in 10 years' time, I can look back and see, way more tour managers and think, I contributed towards that.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I think it's super, I love that question. I too am always the same, Ronami. I'm like, no, I don't want to do a panel. What for? Like, we're just speaking in an echo chamber. Like, I'm that sort of person. I am. But this year I made a promise to myself. I was like, no, you know what, Linda, just say yes sometimes, and it's not because of me. Like, I don't honestly give a shit if people know if I'm the global head of music at Platoon, Apple. It doesn't matter to me. But what I understand is that it matters to other people. Because unfortunately, for me or for us, is that we're not only carrying our positions, we're also carrying our race, our culture, our gender. That's heavy. That is so, so heavy. And it's funny, even before we came on this panel, like me and Rima, we worked together, right? We were just there saying, oh my God, we're tired, saying things because we get it. I think there needs to be a steering group. Honestly, my background is operations, and I feel like there needs, and I hear finance as well, there needs to be a steering group of and it's not about bitching about the problems, it's about, okay, you're facing this problem here, how can I help you? Because often, we're all facing similar problems, and we've got no one else to talk to. I don't know about you, but my friends outside of this industry, they don't get it because they're not in this industry. And so for me, I'm like, okay, maybe Rima understands this artist, she knows how to persuade this artist or give me tips. And I think, honestly, it's about being true to your problems so that another person can help you and not seeing it as a weakness. And not just showing the glitz and the glam of, oh yeah, I'm in Paris speaking. No, literally, I'm dying. This artist is really, really dealing with me. How can you help me? No, genuinely, because I'm at that phase in my life at the moment. I've got 2 kids, and my 3-year-old is tearing up my life. So for me, I'll be honest, I'm dying. Can you help me with this artist? They said this, they said that. Have you faced this problem? So I think it's about being more vocal. And some people don't want to be vocal online, which is fine. But be vocal in your trusted circle. Create that trusted circle amongst the people, especially amongst the women in this industry, and go to them with your problems because they may be able to solve it. That's steering group. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what to say. To be honest, I think you guys have said it. I shied away from most of the last, I would say 6 years to do anything public, to talk, to speak. I just recently started to say, you know what, let me say yes, let me go out there, let me say something about what I do. Just like you, I believe in just toiling away, doing the work, and then your work will speak for you. And again, in some cases it does, but to be honest, because you know that as a leader, you're also building an industry, there are people coming after you, you want to be able to speak about your experiences. And one of the things I think someone said about, I think it was Vanessa, about the division in the industry, right? We can't contribute to that as women because we already suffer a lot of divisions elsewhere. We need each other. And I work on a female artist, and I know how tough it is just even as a female being at the forefront and her experiences, and it's not easy. So we should be honest, like you said. We should support each other. And for me personally, my door is always open. Honestly, just know that I'm supporting you from wherever I am. Just know that every time I see a woman killing it, it's always love in my heart. I'm always excited to meet that person. And I take time to mentor younger A&Rs. Yeah. And even within my team, I have about 5 women in the A&R team that work with me. And I always take out time to make sure that I am for them what I didn't have in another woman. I didn't have a template coming in from finance, going into music, working with artists. that path is not like something you see every day. I know I've now seen that there are many of us here. So very much be open, because what's happening even with like older artists and younger artists, the dialogue is in there. You don't have a lot of older artists going on and saying, bruh, this is how my experience was. When I was this person of 2.0, I did this or that. Some do, some talk about it. So some artists just want to be Wizkid of today and not study Wizkid of 10 years ago and how they started, and because they've just seen the bling bling now. So if we can all be honest about our journeys, talk about it in real time, both execs or male, female artists, it will help all of us, to be honest, find the help that we need and also the inspiration that we need as well. But yeah, Runami, I know this is not the first time you've told me about, let's not complain too much, let's find solutions. We're working on it. We'll all find the solutions together.
Any more questions? Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and getting to hear you guys. And one of the things is I'm very curious about the streaming question or concept, but things are becoming more digital. Things are becoming digital. We, a few years ago, had the fiasco I call of the NFTs, which kind of created this aspect of how artists were earning. But that was a leap. It's continuing. So how do we assure and how do you also educate your artists so that they're aware of what's their property and how that's going to be used?
So I'll take a stab at it. So how do we educate the artists? I lost the last bit.
On how to be, because I think it's like, it's more, AI. Everybody's talking AI. Not understanding exactly what that's going to be. We're also talking a lot about digital asset of digital payment. And how are they going to be part of that economy? I think is something that needs to also be in the forefront. So really, how do we get there is the question.
Yeah, I love that. The simplest answer I would say is that I think as execs, we have the responsibility to educate ourselves as well on these things. Because honestly, AI, we're talking about AI, but no one really, they'll say ChatGPT, so what? There's so many other things in regards to AI, even down to like the music creation and stuff like that. So for me personally, like I'm trying to educate myself in this sphere of what's going on so that when it does come up and artists want to understand this, like I can at least share with them my perspective other than what they're reading on social media. Like I would tell them to go and read about it, like with anything. Like before my first marketing campaign, I'm gonna study the best rollout that I've seen, because that's the only way you can learn these things, right? And I feel like, especially someone who doesn't have the knowledge of these things, the only way is to understand and learn from those people who do. So education for me, when I'm talking to the artists, to do that would be going to the experts and understanding it. And I'd also be going to the experts as well.
Any more questions?
Do we actually need the men? Because
I don't know what.
right about now, I'm blown away by your experience, your expertise. Linda earlier, she sounded really emotional. You talk about how to educate, whether to go to school, for people to know what you do right now. Do you know what? Continue doing that. And then this man here, you need to do a lot to be able to harmonize the Afrobeat world. Because like what you said earlier before, there's a bit of division. We all need to work together. So guys, thank you yourself, Vanessa, Romani. You know what? Well done to you guys.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys. I think now, Lanway, you come into... No? Okay. I think we need to take a photo first. I think Lanway's going to let you know what's coming next in 2 seconds.
A huge round of applause for them, please. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we can all agree it's been very informative, very engaging, and most importantly for me personally, very inspiring. I think to Runami's question and a few other points that were raised earlier, This is the reason why we are doing this platform, or rather why we have this platform called Afrobeats Live. It's essentially to really have these conversations and then decide together with these pivotal stakeholders, these guys who are creating culture in their own right, in all the different fields that they play in, and seeing how as a brand we can support and contribute to the growth of the culture. It's definitely not a day's work. This is just 3 months in for us as a brand, but we can already see the dividends. And I think each and every one of us here can see how, moving forward, we can continue to have the right conversations in our different pockets and see how, to Linda's point, maybe create a stakeholder, like a task force, to continue working on this, because it's not easy. People come on here, share all of their knowledge and expertise on a panel discussion, and then that's it in most cases. We are trying to avoid that, and we'll continue to make sure that we work closely with each and every one of you to make sure that whatever our ambition is completely aligned with what is best for Afrobeats. Without further ado, thank you so much on behalf of the Martell team. We really are grateful and appreciative of everyone who came here tonight. But it's not over. We have about 2 hours left. We have amazing DJs on deck to entertain us with amazing music. We've got cocktails, we've got exciting canopies. Please enjoy yourselves and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.